Everybody, this is Eric Stark with Radio Arizona RV, and today we're going to be talking about Haloview backup camera systems. Now, Haloview backup cameras, that's right, I just threw it behind me. Backup cameras are not what they used to be. You know, before it was just for backing up, you know, you'd use it for 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, but never for going forward. Well, today, backup cameras are made for going forward when you're driving down the road. You spend more hours driving forward than you do going backwards. So why not see what's behind you while you're going forward? And that's what Haloview has done. Now, they're not the innovator at this. Haloview is making backup camera systems. You know, there's other companies that make them, but Haloview comes in at a nice price point. And if you go to my podcast at radioarizonarv.com, I get into more details about the camera, the functionality of it, why you want to use a backup camera today for driving forward, and the price points. They're about half the price of the other brands, but the quality is right up there. So I highly recommend these problem-free systems. Now, this is the monitor, and what I'm going to do here today is just show you the bits and pieces so you get an understanding of it before you ever purchase one, what comes in the box, and you know, the benefits of it, the pros and cons. But like I said, check out the video at the podcast at radioarizonarv.com. You know, it gets into all the audio, all the details, and why it's so important. But for now, let's look at the monitor. This is a 7-inch monitor. You know, it looks kind of big, but it's 7 inches, and it actually will be a split screen if you have multiple cameras hooked up to it, which all of the Haloview systems can have multiple cameras. So you might have 2 clearance lights cameras, one on each side, and that'll show up on here along with the backup camera. So that's a nice plus. Now, not all the systems come with the 3 cameras. You know, all the systems, for the most part, are designed around the backup camera, the one camera on the rear. But they do have systems with everything else, so you can look at those. In fact, there'll be a link at radioarizonarv.com and on this YouTube video at the bottom where you can click and see more information about it and pricing and even purchase them if you want to. And in the podcast, one thing I say is you don't have to purchase the Haloview. You don't have to purchase them for me. Just think about a backup camera system for driving forward, how nice they are today, and the safety factor. It really makes RVing much more pleasant. So the monitor, it has all your functions right here, you know, pretty easy to get to, big enough to see, no problem while you're driving, easy to punch if you want to, although, you know, they recommend you shouldn't do anything while you're driving, but, you know, everybody does something. Got an antenna, which is part of the receiving system, and then you have your plug that goes into your 12-volt adapter. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is the cable's just real long. Me personally, I would cut it down. If I was going to put this on my dash, I'd get rid of at least half of this. I mean, you could coil it up, put it in the back, and make it kind of snug back there and neat and clean. But I just like less stuff, less junk on the dash, less things to mess with. But it's up to you, whatever you feel like doing. And by the way, these are do-it-yourself systems. These things are easy to do, no-brainers. Now, each camera comes with this dash mount. And it has the 3M adhesive on it. And then these things, the little prongs here are flexible, so it'll conform to the shape of the dash. Now, this will have to stick to the dash, so you have to make sure that the dash has never had Armor All on it or any type of product like that, because you'll never get it off. It won't stick. So that will be a problem using this, and that's why in the packages I sell, I throw in the beanbag holder and also a suction cup that attaches to the beanbag that attaches to the back of the monitor. Now, that's what I throw in. They're free because I know this thing isn't going to be for everybody. So I save you about 25 bucks by doing that, and free shipping. Just mention the free things here. But if you want to try this, go ahead. You know, it might work on your dash, might not. But if, like I said, Armor All products like that, probably going to make it impossible. You can use alcohol, try to clean it up, and see what happens. So that's kind of the monitor in a nutshell. Not a bad looking thing, you know, sitting on your dash. It's not going to be ugly. You know, it might seem a little big, but it is 7 inches, so you get more video, you can more monitor on there, so you can see more of what's happening, and it's easier to see. So that's the monitor and cable. That's what plugs into and sits on your dash. So I got each component here. Oh, by the way, you know, it comes with screws, it comes with adhesive, it comes with an Allen wrench, different things, tie downs, which I'll get to in a minute. Now the camera, here's another important part. This is what goes on the rear of the RV. This is a nice camera. This thing's solid. It's got some weight to it. You know, it doesn't feel like a cheap piece of junk that's going to mount outside. It's waterproof. Got LED lights on the front of it. So this thing's a good camera. It's a nice camera. And remember, they're wireless, but that doesn't mean you can get away without 12 volts. You have to have 12 volts. So you got a positive and negative leads here. So this is kind of a Y-shaped cable that comes off the camera, and there's a reason for that. So you have the lead that comes to the camera, then it goes into this connector, which forms the Y. Then you also have your 12 volt and a negative cable or lead. So this is going to go to power. So you can use a clearance light if there's one convenient, and you can get it wired in with it looking nice and clean. Or you can run this, extend this wire and run it down the roof or across the roof and down the refrigerator flue and tie it into the 12 volts at the back of the refrigerator. So that would be 12 volts. So that would be nice. Now, you'd have power all the time at that point. So the clearance light would be an on-off deal. So you'd have to turn your lights on during the day or whenever you wanted this camera to be on. So that's entirely up to you. But just think about your 12 volt options, and it's not that hard. You might have another 12 volt source that's nearby that you get to without, you know, making holes in the roof, doing things like that. We try to not drill holes in the roof, you know, as little as possible. So you have your 12 volt source. So you have to have 12 volts to make your wireless camera work. Remember, it's wireless. That means it connects to your monitor wirelessly. And that's the point of it. Now the other lead here coming off of this configuration will attach to this cable, which is about 40 feet long. And this particular system is the RD7. So it's designed for vehicles that are 33 feet or longer. So that's your truck and your trailer. So if it's over 33 feet, you know, this is the system. It'll come with this cable. So this cable is the same on both ends. It has a nice chrome screw-on connection. Then it has a waterproof boot that goes over it. And what it does is it attaches it to this antenna, and this doesn't have power to it. It just needs to attach to that cable. So the cable and the antenna go together and they attach to the camera. So this goes to the front of the RV. So you can route the wire on the back of the roof, then down the side, or possibly in the center, and use some of your existing roof vents or other things on the roof as an attaching point. If there's already screws, you could just tie into that so you're not making new holes. But ever how you do it, you want to make sure any holes that you put in the roof, that you seal them with, you got it, Dicor lap sealant. Okay, so you want to use Dicor lap sealant, and that'll seal up the holes. And this thing will mount with a couple screws on either side. And by the way, this comes with screws, but it doesn't come with screws for mounting the antenna or the camera. So you'll need to have some screws for that. You know, they probably don't do that because there's so many different roof thicknesses, materials, so they just leave that up to you. So you'll need some screws, some Dicor lap sealant, and a couple wire connectors, and possibly some wire, depending on how you wire this, or the wire up the camera itself. So then you have your end here, which connects to the 40-foot long cable. Let me grab that again. Real simple. They just go together like so. You tighten up the nut, which makes it nice and tight, and then it has a waterproof boot that slides right over it. And this boot goes on nice and tight, nice and clean, so it's going to make it waterproof. So I don't think you're going to have any problems with corrosion or anything like that. Now the life of the boot might not be forever, but it does feel like silicone, but I think it's going to hold up pretty well in the elements. And if it were to fail, there's other ways of sealing this, but I don't think you're going to have any problems for a long time to come. So you have the antenna, which mounts towards the front of the trailer. You have your cable, which you can mount along the side of the trailer, or wherever how you seem fit to make a nice, clean installation. And if you don't want to use your own tie downs to mount the cable, it does come with some little tie downs. Now these have 3 of adhesive on them. These will probably do okay, but probably not that great. They're not going to last too long with the roof and the wind blowing things around. You know, driving down the road, that cable is going to want to move a little bit. So if you do use these and don't drill holes anywhere, then I would just recommend you put it on with the 3M adhesive and then use your lap sealant and go around it to just adhere it to the roof to keep it in place. You know, that way you're not drilling a hole. The lap sealant's not going to hurt anything. If these things deteriorate, break over time, not a big deal. Even if you couldn't get the lap sealant off, you could just put something next to it. You know, might be a little bit of ugly there, but it won't be the end of the world. But I think you get the picture. You know, I'm just explaining how the system, how easy it is to install. How you do it is going to be up to you, and how you decide you want to have it done and how you want it to look. So you have your three basic components. You have the monitor, you have the camera, whoops, and of course you have the cable. So it's a pretty simple system to install, and it comes with instructions. You know, it's coming with an instruction book. I think they're throwing, you know, a couple instruction books with different part numbers, not exactly identical to the camera system, into every box. But these instructions pretty much just explain it. So if you have the instructions have a different model than what you got, I wouldn't sweat it. But they're also throwing in some extra instructions for the model specific. But even if you didn't get instructions, these things are so easy to use and figure out. When the ones this one that I tested out in our warehouse and on my trailer went together, worked perfectly. I just hooked up the camera to 12 volts. I hooked up the monitor to 12 volts, and they connected. The monitor and camera connected, no problem. Spread them all the way out with the 40-foot cable. You know, we wrapped insulation around both antennas, the monitor, the camera, completely took them out of view of each other. They worked flawlessly. We did the same thing out on my RV. Now, the only thing I didn't do on the RV was go down the road at 70 miles an hour. But at high speeds, it does work. The antenna is the key. It does need to be on there. Now, you can try positioning it maybe temporarily, tying it down and going down the road. But you know what? Just go for it. Put it on and be done with it. And it works. And you know what's important is at the high speed, these things will always work pretty good at low speeds or not moving at all. The high speed is the key. And these work great at high speed. All their systems work the same. They're all very close. If you follow the link that I have on our website, radioarizonarv.com, or even on YouTube, wherever you see this video, it's going to take you to a sales page and information page, and it breaks down the differences so you can see the difference between the camera systems, because it's a lot of data that might not make sense to you. But any one you choose, you're not going to go wrong with it. They're nice systems, and especially for the money. Now, if you know me, if you listen to the podcast, you know I don't get behind products that I don't believe in. I believe in this product, problem-free with our testing. So I'd say go ahead, check it out, and even if you don't buy the Haloview and you go with something else, that's fine. Just consider the safety factor of having a backup camera, period. It's an observation system, so whether it's Haloview or another brand like Furion, it's a safety thing. So consider that. Buy it for that reason, if not anything else. So I want to thank you for tuning in. And again, this is Eric Stark with Radio Arizona RV.